The filter-free diary. Uh,
Good morning. It's 7:17 and I'll be honest, I can't really see, but it's so freaking warm. I can't help but want to be out here. Like it's awesome that the sun just hits right fucking here. Like I seriously wonder if this works well for my neighbors cuz I really feel like spotlighted. Anyways, yeah, couldn't want to record inside because the apartment is kind of small, and you know what? I have a thing about being inside small little boxes, so I want to come out here and do it out here. So, you know how when you're little, you can believe, one thing, like for example, um, all the flying, stinging insects are bees, right? Even though there are like wasps and hornets and yellow jackets and all kinds of stinging things out there. When you're little, you might learn that they're all bees. Because bee is easy to say and it gives you a basis to start your classification, right? What you really mean is like insect, but you haven't learned that there are even crawly ones yet, right? So you start simple and you just call them bees, even though they're not all bees. Even though there are honeybees and bumblebees and things of that nature. And then when you get older, you revisit your earlier previous understanding, right? And now you're like, oh, well, there are wasps, and there are yellow jackets, and there are hornets, and there are bumblebees. And now, you start to diversify your information, right? But you started with a base, a very simple base, right? And then maybe when you get even older, now you know that like bees kind of start off as like a little egg, a little worm thing. And there are other little worm things that don't always grow wings and fly through their metamorphosis. Some of them stay little worm thingies, right? Like your knowledge expands as you add layers and layers and layers to it, right? And ideally, you never get to the point where you're like, this is the last layer I want to add, right? Like you always, ideally, keep an open mind and you're always trying to fill out all that finer detail, that finer information. And yesterday, while YouTube was showing me things, I came across the video and I was like, oh yeah, I remember the Merkaba. Oh yeah, because was it in 2000 or in 2022, I think, maybe 2022, maybe 2021, maybe both those years. I was on this path to explore all the religions to try and see where they intersect, right? Like I was doing the same thing I do with language with, religion. Just getting all those broken fragments together and trying to put a giant map together. And one of the things I came across was the Merkaba. And and you know what? It is an Egyptian word. And you know what? It was rebranded as a what do they call it, Hebrew religion. But remember the whole premise of where they got their data. Merkaba literally means in Egyptian, not in Hebrew or Israeli or whatever, literally means light, spirit, and they say personality, but what it is it's actually your mind. It's actually your mind. It's literally saying the light, spirit, mind. The light 1-3, the light 13. That is the best translation you can have for what a Merkaba is a light 13. And in Egyptian, it wasn't considered a chariot. That was a mistranslation by the Hebrews. It was a throne. It was a throne. And And I'm watching this data again, and they're talking about the two tetrahedrons that spin around. And you know what man calls them? The feminine and the masculine. And this is the problem with lying to ourselves all this time. When we take spirit out of the picture and say, no, there are not three forces here. It's not spirit, feminine, masculine. It's just feminine and masculine. And the masculine steps into the spot of the spirit. Then you get crazy interpretations of the data, like it's a female and a male spinning around. Why? Because you know nothing else. Why do you know nothing else? Because spirit doesn't exist now. Now we have something called God, and now the feminine and the masculine spin around each other so we can reach God. Do you see how far they just got off track from the original interpretation because they murdered their father? I can't even feel bad for you. I can't even feel bad for you. But I can tell you what it really fucking is. But if you've been following along, you already know what it really fucking is. And you know what? I found this cool little image. What do you see in this cool little image? Do you see the lamb? Do you see the am and the seal underneath? Do you see how man can have all the pieces and still not understand what it's doing or reading or seeing? Because it's been lying for so fucking long. I probably shouldn't think it's as funny as I do. But I don't feel bad for you. Anyways, have a good morning.